Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. A little while ago, I did my top 10, top 11 uh, standalone horror movies. And in that video, I set it up. I was going to do a top 10, and I stuck with 10 this time. A top 10 horror movies that never should have gotten sequels. I do have honorable mentions that's almost as big a stack as my 10. I have 8. I'll briefly go through them. The first two I put on here, I didn't put on my list. I haven't seen the sequels yet, but I know the quality of them, and that's From Dusk Till Dawn and Dracula 2000. I have seen the beginning of the sequel to Dracula 2000, and I was very confused. I read up on them. Despite what the end of this movie sets up, and this is an underrated horror film for me, I love this movie. They don't follow that, and they do something else. And with these, I don't know what they're doing. So, okay, we have Return of the Living Dead. And I didn't put this on my main list because I actually like the third one. I don't care for the second one at all. And the last two, I can take them or leave them. They're supposed to be direct sequels to each other, but they contradict each other. They feel like they're separate scripts, but they decide to use the same cast to keep things cheap. And it doesn't make any sense. But, yeah. This is one that absolutely should not have any sequels. David Cronenberg's The Fly. I don't mind The Fly too, but was it needed? No. Same thing with The Hollow Man. Hollow Man is really good. Its sequel is just generic, and they even try to make it more like it was Little Man with the character being Griffin. So, again, should have stuck with this one. Then we have The Gate, which is like the last two. Don't hate the second one, but it just doesn't make any sense in context of this one, where it's like, oh, you can make wishes on this, but what's the point of making the wishes eventually turn to shit? They don't know that until later, but yeah. And this is a fantastic 80s horror film. So, yeah. And then we have A Quiet Place. Might give me a little trouble. I didn't care for A Quiet Place Part 2. I was like, you have to have a reason to continue this. And this felt like it's more of, we're in this world, these things that can't hear. This was like, we made the sequel because we had to. Then they announced the spin-off, Day One, which I have not seen yet. And it's like, but we already know what happened the first day. It's like, no, these are different people. Then why do I care if they're not the people we know from the first film? Why do we care, right? And you got Eddie from Stranger Things and Lupita Nyong'o, great actors, but I don't know. So, will I watch the third one? Well, yeah, if it's more of these, and Cillian Murphy's in it. And Cillian Murphy wasn't bad, but he's just not a replacement for Jim from The Office, so, I don't know. And then we have The Hitcher. And this is one of the most underrated road thrillers you'll ever find. And then the second one's like, okay, let's kill off that main character you care about. Let's kill him off. And we'll follow his girlfriend that nobody knows, that no one cares about. Then the remake said, hey, do that. So, yeah, and we're not talking about remakes, but just, no. No. So now we're on to the main list. This is where I'll get more into it instead of going straight through. So, number 10 on my list of movies that should not have gotten a sequel or any sequels, White Noise. And this was one of the first ones I thought of. Sequels. Now, when Cody Leach did this list, he did sequels like Terminator 2, they shouldn't have gotten. His was just straight sequels, not horror. Terminator is not a horror movie. It's not a slasher film because he doesn't use a blade. So, it's a slasher because he's killing people. No. He's using a gun. If he used a blade, that would be one thing. I can concede that Cobra could be a slasher because the guy uses a blade. But Terminator's using a gun. It's not a slasher. Sorry. With all due respect. Okay, I respect your opinion. I just don't see it as a horror. If you do, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but in my opinion, no. Anyway, so I'm not including those that already have sequels. So, like, I'm talking about first movies, not including sequels, is what I'm saying. Of course, I have sequels, duh. I mean, I'm not including sequels as one, like, to say it's a little bit cheating. It's a little bit cheating to say, oh, it should have stopped at the second one. Well, no, the list is movies that never should have gotten sequels, so there shouldn't be a sequel that you're saying. You know what I'm saying? It's a little cheating. It's your list. Do what you want, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I respect your list. I'm just saying. Anyway, White Noise. And yes, I'm going off of what the sequels ended up being, because that's how it works. And the idea of having a sequel to this after I watched this, I was like, okay, cool. I would love a sequel taking place many, many years later with the son. Maybe he's a teenager and he starts investigating this stuff. He starts finding out what happened to his dad and his stepmom and gets reconnected in this. That'd be cool. What we got ruined the ending of this movie. You know, the ending where Michael Keaton sacrifices himself to save that woman's life. And the second film with, you have a good cast in there. You have Katie Sackhoff, Nathan Fillion. They're great. But in that movie, you set up a thing where if you save someone that's supposed to die or is going to be killed, whatever, save someone that's supposed to die, 3 days later, they get possessed by a demon or the devil or some shit and kill more people themselves. So it's not really worth saving them. And that, to me, because they even say that the woman that Michael Keaton saved at the end of the first one also did that. And it's like, well, then you just made his entire sacrifice worthless. Right? All because you want a little twist in there. Try a mirror or whatever. No. Just stick to the first one. Alright. Number 9 is Smile. It's a more recent one. These next 3 are more recent ones. This one and the next 2. Smile. Again, I'm going off of the sequel that we got. No. This was a good movie. I'll concede that. But all the sequel does is recycle the same stuff they did in the last one. Unjustifyingly kill off a character that we could have easily brought into the film. When you give the character, Kyle Gallner's character, an out, he actually does the thing and spreads it to someone else without having to die, and you come off anyway. Why not just have him do the unaliving himself stuff? Instead of saving him, you're just going to kill him off anyway. It's entirely pointless. And while Naomi, whatever her name, the Jasmine, whatever, she gives Naomi Scott, it's your own name, stupid. Naomi Scott, it's your own name, huh? Naomi Scott gives a great performance. I watched this twice, and the second time watching it, when you know what's going to happen, that's another thing, is that these movies, both of them, are a little bit when you know what's going to happen, and you know that something's going to get pulled up underneath you, it's not the same as the first time you watched it. So when you know, spoiler alert, that the best friend in the second film is not actually there the whole time, you can start telling them her mom doesn't directly talk to her, and no one ever addresses her, and, whatever. The whole jump to her driving makes no sense to me. And then the guy that comes to talk to her, I always thought should be Kyle Gallner. But then they do the thing, he wasn't ever actually there, which doesn't make any sense because it's all in her head. She wouldn't know how to stop it. So why would what's in her head, unless it's the demon or what the virus demon thingy telling her how to stop it, I don't know. I don't know. They should have just stuck with one, All right, this one might get me in trouble. It might get me in trouble because this is only my own personal feelings. But number 8 is X. I don't mind Maxine, but I was thinking about this the other night when I was looking at these, trying to figure out what ones I'm going to do. And this popped in my head. And the more I thought about it, yeah, this should have been just a one and done, which is what it was supposed to be. And then during the production, Ty West had the idea of, oh, hey, what if we did a prequel with this Pearl as a young person, right? We sent it in the 1920s or whatever, and we do it like that. And so they did that, and it came out. And I'm not the only one. I'm in a minority of people who didn't really care for it. I found it way too more stylistic than substance. I don't know. And then it's like, okay, we're going to do a third one now. This is going to be a trilogy, which they clearly never planned for because the idea for Pearl just popped into Ty West's head during the production of the first one. So now they have to bring it full circle with a third film that was clearly pulling something out of his ass, because you just bring in her, the obvious twist of the killer being her father because there's no one else it could be. Yeah, and it's real basic. It's a nod to Giallo. It's a nice little slasher thing, but there's only two ways about it. Either she was actually the killer and it was going to be a twist, or it was her father. And yeah, this is good enough. This is good enough. All right. This is probably one that people will agree with me on for number 7, and that's Don't Breathe. Because while, again, this is like White Noise, where it's like, okay, I would like to see a sequel. Or like we reconnect, like Rocky somehow reconnected with the blind man, who somehow gets to Florida and goes after him, or something. Like, where it's like, well, when you think about it, the worst thing they can do is just rehash it with someone else breaks into his house and blah, blah, blah. Or they make him sympathetic. Well, they did the latter because they decided to make him an anti-hero of sorts, defending this little girl from people that they have to make even worse by saying that, oh, they're her birth parents. Oh, no, he stole them away. But no, actually, they don't care about the girl. They need her heart or something to save the mother, because the mother makes the meth, so they need to save her so she can make the meth. She can't teach anyone else how to make the meth. Don't make meth. It's illegal. Don't care what Breaking Bad says. It's bad. It is very Breaking Bad. Anyway, so they do all that just to make the blind man, Norman Nordstrom, the hero. But then you're watching this and you're like, okay, but in the back of your head you're going, he held a woman in his basement and artificially inseminated her. And you can yell grape all you want. Is it really? I don't know. I'm not here to hash it out with you. But he's still inserting something in illegally without permission. So, yeah, it probably isn't. But he's not... In a traditional way, he is not graping her. Do you know what I mean? In a traditional way. He is still inserting something without permission. I don't know. But he's still a horrible person. And now we're supposed to cheer on this guy. You could have just... I don't know, even did something basic, like he goes after them in Florida or something. I don't know, but you should have stuck it at one. All right, another one that I think people might be on board with, and that is number 6. And number 6 is Sinister. And I think Sinister is one of the best horror films of the 2010s. It's up there. It's in the top 10 for sure. And the idea, again, this is one of those where you could do a sequel, especially since you have Deputy So-and-so, which is his official name, still out there. And that's an idea. But then when you get to the execution, it's just, okay, now he's tracking down where it went to next, and it connects to this woman and her 2 kids. It happens all over again. And the second one is not terrible. But if it didn't exist, I don't think I'd complain. It'd be like, it's a one and done. It's fine. This would be on my list of standalone horror films for sure. But, it's just like, was it needed? No. Now, my number 5 is cheating a bit, because to say sequels is a very loose description of what the films are. Cloverfield. I hear they're going to make a direct sequel sometime, but yes. And again, this could be on a list of. This could have been on my list of top 10 uh, standalone horror films in itself. But then you get these follow ups. And you could say these are standalones all you want. Like, oh, they're not connected. They're sort of connected. Like this one has the Clover monster. The second one has aliens. And the third one tries to connect all of them together, even though they don't really mention aliens. But whatever. I think this is one where you could just stuck with this one and people would just be salivating for a sequel, and even if we never get it. If we're getting a direct one now, I still know how direct it's going to be because all the characters died on that. Unless you reveal that Rob and what's her face survived, which the tunnel collapsed in, so I don't know. Unless it collapsed and they're just unconscious. Like, the camera's destroyed. It doesn't mean that they're dead, but I don't know. You can retcon whatever you want. But, yeah, they should have just... This one is definitely something. Because this is one of the cases where the movie is nothing to write home about. And I can say that about, like, Friday the 13th. That one really took off. But where that one, at least I enjoy some of the sequels, I don't think I can say that about this. As Children of the Corn. No, I think the first three, like, I have the first six. And while they're crap, they're fine. It's after Children of the Corn 666 Isaac's Return, everything becomes Hellraiser shit. Where it's just they're taking a script, they're shooting in corn, kids, and evil magic stuff. That's what it is. Some lady's going to visit her grandma or something, her mom. Oh, let's add Children of the Corn to it. There's adding stuff to it. There's one where it's like people on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and there's Children of the Corn stuff, but not really. You just see, I don't know. If you just stuck with this, which is the only thing, like, Stephen King movies get sequels, and it's confusing why. Pet Sematary could have on this list too, but I actually unapologetically love Pet Sematary too. So, yeah, but yeah, definitely didn't need any more of these. No, you couldn't say the same thing about Wrong Turn is another one, you know. Or this next one, number 3, Jeepers Creepers. Now, while I don't mind the second one, the third one that we kept waiting for, we didn't get the one that they kept promising us. They gave us something that comes in between, and then everyone's like, okay, now we don't want anything to do with Victor Salva because he's a rapist, and we don't want anything to do with him, so now we're going to reboot it. And we're going to do something that's way worse than anything he produced. And I will say objectively it is the worst one in every sense of the way, but I still hate the third one more because of what we were promised and we didn't get. That's why, if those of you who are confused, why, yes, I say that's the worst one. The fourth one, or Reborn, the remake, whatever, is the worst one. But I still hate the third one. I put that last because of what we were promised, and they decided not to give us that instead of a movie that was supposed to set up that, and we didn't get that because they booted Victor Salva out for a good reason. Though, I wouldn't have minded if they let him finish, then booted him out. Or they'd just continue with his plans. You know, oh, different director, but we're going to finish this for you, for the fans. Even though it was like me, Cody Leach, and maybe 2 other people. I don't know. They're fans of this movie. I like the movie. Don't care for the director, personally. Like the movie. I'm just saying. But we could have gone without any sequels, I think. The mystery of what it is, you know, we still don't know enough. Would have been fine just to linger, you know. And that ending of the first one, just to have that every time. And again, it would be on my list. That list would have been even more difficult if some of these didn't have sequels. This is one I'll always champion. My number 2 is one I'll always champion. Should never have sequels. You know, I don't hate the second one. The third one is just meh. Joyride. And again, it's another one on my list. Because I was like, oh, why didn't I grabbed it to put it on this list. And I went, why didn't I put this on my list of standalone horror films? Because it's not standalone. That's why you put it over here. Yeah. This is another great This is probably the great road thriller road trip thriller that you'll find, and it's great. And then they made a sequel, and it's direct to video quality, and it's not very good. Though the guy playing Rusty Nail is good, it's fine. But then you get the third one, and it's clear that they went, okay, let's make another one, and just threw it out there. They don't even try. Like when they at the end where they supposedly kill him, and it's just like, oh, they just show him walking down the road and doing it. They don't even try to fake you out with that he might be dead. So no, this is just all right. My number one now. It's my number one. When you die, you see the ring. And I don't think I'm alone on this. Because if you look at what came afterwards, I'm going to talk about the Japanese ones, this one. This was enough. And again, it'd be on the list. Movies. You'd want more, but did you need it? Because the ending of this movie doesn't set anything up. It's just like, oh, we had the kid copy the tape. He's going to give it to someone. We never actually find out who they gave it to. So that's good. We don't need to. And it's just going to move on, right? It's going to keep passing, and our people are... If they did something like an anthology sort of thing, where the next film follows different people, and we don't go back to them. Kind of like what they try to do with Rings. And I don't hate Rings. I actually like Rings better than The Ring 2. Because it has different creativity and tries to adapt it to modern day with technology and everything. And Johnny Galecki is in there. So yeah. But if it just stayed at this one, I think I would have minded it. Especially in hindsight when you look at what they gave us. The Ring 2 tries to hammer out more of the backstory of Samara and her mother and everything. But then you get Rings, which sort of contradicts that. So, I don't know. So even they don't care for that, I guess. But yeah, The Ring, number one, should have definitely never had sequels. So there it is. My top 10 horror films that should have never gotten sequels. So, what's your list? What is your top 10? Make a comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.